he was gone astray. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy, comfort and joy. Oh, tidings of comfort and joy. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Good tidings we bring to you and your King. Good tidings for Christmas and a Happy New Year. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas.
What is the meaning of this commotion? Has some great tragedy befallen us to cause such a disturbance? Oh, do tell. Then why such an uproar out in the streets? Why all of this caterwauling outside of my doorway?
It's Christmas Eve, Mr. Scrooge. We wanted to bring you a Christmas song.
Oh, you wanted to bring me a Christmas song, did you?
Yes, sir.
Well, I don't want a Christmas song. What I want is silence. Silence, I tell you. How's a man to get a decent day's work done with all of this caterwauling? I do not have time to waste hanging about listening to street urchins wailing about a holiday which I do not observe. Now, go away.
But, sir, it's Christmas Eve.
And what of it? A day like any other day. Not to be trifled away with frivolity when there's work to be done. Now, for the last time, be gone with you, before I summon the law on each and every one of you. Be gone!
Just the same, Mr. Scrooge. A very Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Ah, humbug!
Marley was dead, to begin with. There is no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it. Scrooge's name was good upon anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Mind, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge whether is particularly dead about a doornail. I myself might have been inclined to regard a coffin nail as the deadest piece of ironmongery in the trade. The wisdom of our ancestors is in the simile, and my unhallowed hand shall not disturb it, or the country's done for. You will therefore permit me to repeat emphatically, Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for, I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole friend, and sole mourner. And even Scrooge was not so dreadfully cut up by the sad event on the day of his funeral, except to say that Marley was an excellent man of business. Scrooge honored that quality by making the funeral an undoubted bargain. The mention of Marley's funeral brings me back to the point I started from. There is no doubt that Marley was dead. This must be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come from the story I am going to relate. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood, years afterwards, above the warehouse door, Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge, Scrooge, and sometimes Marley. He answered to both names. It was all the same to him. Nobody ever stopped him in the street to say, "My dear Scrooge, when will you come to see me?" Even blind men's dogs appeared to know him. And when they saw him coming on, they'd tug their owners up streets or into doorways and then would wag their tails as though they said, "No eye at all is better than an evil eye, dark master." Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, Scrooge sat busy in his counting house. It was cold, bleak, biting weather, foggy withal, and he could hear the people in the court outside stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warn them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already. It had not been light all day. And candles were flaring in the windows of the neighboring offices like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. Fog poured in through every chink and keyhole, and it was so dense without that although the street was of the narrowest, the houses opposite were mere phantoms.
Mr. Cratchit!
The fire's not cold, sir.
Mr. Cratchit, come here. What is this?
A coat?
And this?
A waistcoat.
Yes, they are clothes, and as such, once purchased, may be used indefinitely. Coal, on the other hand, burns. Coal is costly. We shall be using no more coal today. If I see you make one more move toward that coal bin, I shall be forced to assume that your services are no longer required. Well, now, would it be too much to ask you to get back to work?
By the way, sir.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cratchit.
Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you! I said, Merry Christmas!
Bah, humbug!
Christmas a humbug? You cannot be serious. I'm sure.
I am very serious about that. Merry Christmas. What right have you to be married? What reason can you possibly have to be married? You are poor enough.
What right have you to be dismal? And what reason have you to be morose?
Ah.
You are rich enough.
Ah, humbug!
Uncle, don't be cross.
What else can I be? When I live in a world of fools such as this? Merry Christmas. Out upon a Merry Christmas. What's Christmas time but a time for paying your bills with no money? A time for being a year older and not 1 penny richer. Why, if I could work my will, every idiot who went about with a Merry Christmas on his lips would be boiled in his own pudding. Yes, and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. That he should.
Uncle!
Nephew, you keep Christmas your way. Let me keep it mine.
Keep it, but you do not keep it.
Then let me leave it alone. Whatever good it will do you, whatever good it has ever done you.
There are many things from which I have derived good and have not profited. I dare say Christmas among the rest. But I find Christmas to be a wonderful time. A kind, charitable, forgiving time. Why, the only time that I know of within the long calendar of the year where men and women feel by one resolute to open their normally shut upon hearts and freely give and share with all of the creatures of God's green earth. And therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of silver nor an ounce of gold into my pocket, it has done me good, will continue to do me good, and therefore I say, God bless it!
Mr. Cratchit, let me hear another sound from you, and you shall keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You, sir, are a very powerful speaker. It's a wonder you don't go to Parliament.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Come, dine with us tomorrow.
No.
But why? Why?
Why did you get married?
Because I fell in love.
Because you fell in love? Good afternoon.
Nay, Uncle, you never gave that as a reason before. Why give it as one now?
Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you, and I ask of nothing in return. Why can we not be friends?
Because you're wasting my time. Now, good afternoon.
I am sorry, Uncle, with all of my heart, to find you so resolute. We have never had a quarrel, at least to which I have been a party. But I make this trial in homage to Christmas, and I will keep my Christmas humor till the very end. And therefore I say, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year!
Good afternoon.
And you, Mr. Cratchit, Give my kindest regards of the season to your wonderful wife and family.
Thank you, I shall. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.